T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. All three engines up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
Coach on Fire Radio.
Welcome to Brave Healing, Words That Change the World. I am Laura DeFranco, and my mission is to start a revolution of brave healers who are changing themselves and the world by sharing their stories. On this podcast, we're going to have the conversations you crave, the ones that create a ripple. You guys can find me later at bravehealer.com and on Facebook. If you search Brave Healer by Laura DeFranco, you can check me out there. And if you guys happen to be in DC, anywhere near DC, August 11th, put it on your calendar because I am having a huge book talk workshop, open mic poetry extravaganza at Johnny Pistola's from 7 to 10 p.m. So this event is going to be hosted by Love, Pain, and Poetry. And you're going to find that page and all the details about that event on Facebook. So now I'm going to invite you all to take a deep breath with me and really arrive here in the moment in your body and let yourself feel the words today. Notice how a word or a tone or a topic feels inside of you. Feeling is healing. And today I am welcoming JuliaCarmen, founder of the School Without Walls and the Knowing Within Retreats. You guys, this woman is amazing. JuliaCarmen was born Cameron or Carmen, Julia?
Carmen.
Carmen, thank you. I said it wrong the first time. It's funny. I typed it two different ways. JuliaCarmen was born with a gift. I'm going to get this one wrong too. The gift of Curandera. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. Curandera de Alma, Seer of the soul. Her gift of being able to see a person's true self has guided clients to quiet themselves, to hear their own true divine soul self. And from her website, you guys, Julia is going to tell you that she's been a curandera all her life, but that she didn't do much about it at first. She'd sometimes see things she didn't want to see, not bad things, just things attached to people about their lives. She used it as intuition, but she didn't know what to do with it at first. Seeing dead people, OMG, hearing voices, seeing stuff attached to people. At first, she wondered what she was supposed to do with this gift that everyone said she had. So, Julia, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you for having me, Laura. I'm totally looking forward to this. Thank you so much for having me this morning, and happy 4th of July to everyone that celebrates that. And let's get started.
Yeah, so I got to go with telling me more about this gift. And honestly, the question I had the most for you was, how did you get from the place from not knowing what the hell to do with the gift to actually doing what you're doing now? And that's helping people with your gift. Tell me a little bit about that story.
Well, before I do that, is there what kind of language can you use on here? I mean, if I slip and say a naughty word, is that going to be bleeped out? Or
I'm so happy you asked that question, because I actually asked that question of my producers, who are the Coach on Fire Radio, produces this show for me. And I like an F-bomb or two. So they said, go for it. It's not like it's a G-rated program, Julia. So you have open, yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I just want to make sure, because sometimes when I work with youth or, people under 18, I have the tendency to get animated with my words, and I'm constantly going, and that, and the kids are going, what is wrong with you? And I'm censoring myself. So I didn't want to sound that way on the radio, like what's wrong with this chica? You know?
I would prefer you in your full-on uncensored self today, and we can put a rating on there later. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now that I've said that, I've anchored myself into not saying anything. So anyway, what was the question? Because I forgot now.
Tell me more about how you got to really not knowing what to do with this gift to actually helping people with it and running retreats and doing Alma readings and all the things you're doing today. Tell me a little bit about that story of how you got from there to here.
Oh, okay. Thank you. You know, Laura, I don't know anything different than the human self of being. I find being a human, how would we put it, uncomfortable. Yeah. So I was born with seeing everything. So I just thought everybody saw everything. I didn't give it much thought. And my mother and down her line, they were seers. And when I say seers, I mean that they had their gifts of the alma, of being able to see the soul of a person. So my mom really tried to squash it when I was a little girl, because I would say, oh, who's that? And what's this? And what's this? And it was out of fear on her part. I'm just sharing this with you because I just thought, oh, everybody could see people, and I see non-physical people like I see physical people. Everything moves, everything's alive to me. It's always been that way since day one. So my mother made it her mission to shut it down because it wasn't safe when she was growing up, and my grandmother and so on, because way back then, if you had those gifts, you were considered a bruja. You know, it was more like, something on the dark side. Yeah.
Well, I just spent my weekend in Salem, Massachusetts.
I saw that on your Facebook.
Where all the witches hang out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure that they're, your mom so maybe they were afraid of what would happen if you explored the gifts.
Oh, well, they were, I don't know if it was conscious, but I definitely know it was an unconscious thing, because my mother used to always tell me, now, and she speaks, yo soy, I'm a native Latina. So she would tell me in Spanish, you need to be careful, because with the good, a lot of bad comes in. And she would constantly say that all the time. And I'm thinking, what bad? Because when you're little, everything's what is. You're in the moment. You don't really think too much of it. So as I got married very young and started having children. So what I did, Laura, is I tried to shut it down. I literally just tried to shut it down. I said, no, let me just. So I became, had a lot of eating disorders. You know that show on, is it Netflix, whatever. Grace and
Frankie.
Grace and Frankie, yeah.
Yeah, love that show.
So just to kind of get it into a very short thing. So when you shut down, you're in a control. You want to control everything, right? So my daughter was sharing with my granddaughter, because now I'm just kind of like, here's Gigi, she does her thing, she travels, she does it. They're seeing a whole different person than my daughter, right? And so my granddaughter said, I don't know what you're talking about Gigi about. She's just so little, she's so, she's, right?
Yeah.
And so my daughter said, you know this show, Gracie and Frankie? So now, which one's Jane Fonda? I was my brain. Which one's Jane Fonda? Is that Grace? No, that's Frankie.
That's Grace.
That's Grace. Okay.
Yes.
So she goes, this was Gigi when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is Gigi now. Lily Tomlin.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah. And I kind of went, oh, you know what? She's right. Yeah. So the experience my daughter had was a neurotic, just trying to shut the shit down. Right. Yeah. Because number one, it wasn't safe. Number two, I didn't know what to do with it. So why not go into the real physical third dimensional world and just hang out there and control it?
Well, that doesn't work for very long, does it?
Oh, effing no.
Yeah.
Heck no. No. I developed epileptic seizures. I had migraines. It was horrible, just horrible.
So I'm going to stop you because I want you to really address this for some of the listeners. I know that last sentence resonated with in a big way. The shutting down of it manifests in the body. Yes.
Yeah.
And I know, and your reaction is like, well, yeah, of course it does. But I think a lot of people don't understand that. They're not making that direct connection. So I don't know, what comment do you have about that? Like, how did you know that that's what it was causing the migraines and the seizures and all the stuff?
How did I know?
Yeah. How did you begin to understand the connection to your body?
Well,
or did you always know?
Well, yes, both, Laura, both. Yeah. So because I've never not been without what I call my peeps, my non-physical peeps, my guides. Yeah. So I've always had a big crew, and I remember them looking at me and say, "Hey, Chica, is this what you want to do?" And I said, "Fuck yeah, this is what I want to do, because I don't want to talk story with you. I don't want to hang out with you folks because it's not safe." Yeah. So through the seizures, I don't know, I was 38, 10 years of this, Laura.
Wow,
Gosh,
yeah.
I didn't realize it's going to hit me that hard. But 10 years of drooling, basically. Yeah. Because what they try to do is stop the seizures. I was having so many in one day. They didn't know what to do. They lost count. So, yeah. So, I mean, they took me to, neurologists and MRIs, and I went to see tons of psychiatrists and therapists. And because I said, hey, if I manifested this shit on my own, or it's through stress, I was looking for the cure. I was not looking for a diagnosis, to be honest. I just wanted out, right? So the therapist and the psychiatrist, trust me, I went through a lot of them, kept saying, it's the seizures that's causing your stress. The neurologist would say, well, there's nothing wrong with your brain. There was some scar tissue, but we think you're so stressed out, you're causing the seizures. So that went back and forth for, I'd say, about 5 years. Yeah. And then finally I just said, what the hey, So then I start listening to my peeps. I think about the 6th or 7th year, I started going, okay, uncle, you would think a normal person would say, hell no, I'm not going to be doing this, right? Flopping on, I had them for 10 years. I mean, they diagnosed me with epilepsy and seizure disorder and migraines and you name it.
Well, this is the good part about this story, right? I mean, are you going to hopefully tell me that there came a time where you began to listen, connect, trust, and all of those symptoms started to disappear, right?
I wish.
I mean, it's not that easy. I know. Yeah. So when they come today, what do you do? I mean, now you do trust your gifts. Yeah. Well, are you having any symptoms?
Oh heavens, no. Thank you, Laura. Okay. Yeah. No. So 28. I mean, I'm 38 to 40. No, was it 40? Yeah, it was 10 years, 38 to 48. Okay. So about the 6th or 7th year, I said, I'm going to go on a mission. I'm going to look at the diagnosis, because they diagnosed me, and go on a mission to stop these seizures. Because I was on medication. I gained 100 pounds on that friggin' medication.
Wow.
I really went bald. So there was enough physical pain, Laura, that I said, maybe there's something else to this. So I just went on a mission and that's when the door opened for the holistic approach. So I did, what do you call it? Biofeedback, I did hypnosis, I did, you name it, I did it. And then as my mind quieted, as my mind started, as I stopped trying to make sense out of it through my brain, some of my mentors will say, your problem is that you just, you talk yourself into things and out of things through your brain. Yeah. And I thought, okay. So when my brain, when I quieted that down, then I could hear my peeps, and then non-physical peeps. And then they started saying, mira, chica, go this way, go that way. And it was trusting those voices, those beautiful angels and guides. And I have like an army of them, and always, like I said, always have had, and trusting which people to go to. And through the years, I realized, and I became comfortable with it. Yeah. And then I went to my neurologist. And I said, okay, we don't know what this shit's about, right? He goes, that's right. I said, I want off all these meds. I'm over 100 pounds. I'm bald.